Hi everybody. This game is called Bit Heroes. It is a MMORPG that can be played on both Steam and iOS. You can link your accounts so that you can play on either platform interchangeably. In this video, I will start with a short introduction for anybody thinking of playing the game who currently does not. I will then give my recommendations for how to most effectively progress from starting a new character to reaching endgame content, while along the way I will show how to make the most out of the game mechanics. Following this, I will show how you should be multitasking to make the most out of the resources available to you. And finally, I will showcase my T20 endgame level character while explaining some of the mistakes that I've made so that you don't make them as well. Alright, let's just get into it. Beat Heroes is a game where you build your character using a variety of limited energy pools to fight through various battles. From these battles, you gain equipment, which you can melt for materials or keep the ones that you like and upgrade them to use in further battles. This here is my opening screen. I'm going to close it. This is my character, and I am currently in my guild hall. You can run around the map. You can interact with 4 maps, 2 of which you can interact with other people. For the energy pools, you have tickets, which let you participate in weekly PvP events. You have the badges, which let you participate in weekly invasion, expedition, or guild versus guild events. Every week it alternates which is the current event. Then you have your tokens, which let you run trials and gauntlet weekly events. All of these weekly events, depending on how well you did and how many points you got, as well as your ranking, you will get various material rewards for it. Then you have your energy, which lets you participate in quest zones. This is a good spot to capture familiars that are then used to fuse more stronger familiars. Then you have shards, which are used in raid dungeons. This is the typical place that you would use to get equipment you would actually use on your character, upgrading the equipment as much as you can to then up tier. You'll start in tier 1, and then once you beat all of the quest zones, you will make it to the next tier. And each tier comes with equipment that has higher total stats and improves your character. And once you've beat the zone, you make it to the next tier. Currently, the game is capped at tier 20 and starting at tier 1. Finally, there are zeals, which allow you to participate in world boss battles. These you can either complete solo if you are leveled and your build is appropriate, or you can choose to participate with 3 other players, 4 other players, depending on which world boss you choose to fight. This is the spot where you get fusion materials for very specific familiars, particularly some of the best endgame mythic familiars. And you have your character here. You can have a main hand weapon. You can have an offhand weapon or shield. The main hand weapon determines what skills that you have during battle. You also have a head, a body, a neck, and a ring equipment, which you can upgrade from equipment that you find in battles or that you craft yourself. Then finally, you have special equipment, which is accessories and pets. Accessories, it's more important that you have an accessory that works for your build, whereas pets, you have either offensive or defensive pets, where when you are hit or when you attack, your pet does some additional damage or it heals you. And then you can have enchants, which you can use to further tailor your build to take advantage of the mechanics that that build is tailored towards, and the same with the runes. And all of the equipment comes in common, uncommon, epic, legendary, set, mythic, and ancient equipment. All of my gear right on this set is either mythic, which is red, blue, which is set pieces, or ancient, which is brown. So these are my ancient. And the set pieces, you need multiple pieces of the same type of set in order to achieve the bonuses for that specialty equipment. But legendary equipment, set pieces, mythical, and ancient equipment all have the same total stats when maxed for each tier. If you have set pieces or mythic pieces or ancient pieces that you want to use further on, you can up tier them to the next tier for more materials, and you can keep your set, your current build going. And that is how endgame meta works. You have you can join a guild, and I recommend you join a guild as soon as you can. You have your members, particularly you have a shop. This is going to be very useful. I'm going to explain this in the progression section. You can chat with your guild members for advice or just setting up world bosses. You can also you also have a world chat with several channels that you can have discussions with people. You can add friends. People that you have added as friends or that are in your guild can join you in the raid battles. You have your smithy where you can upgrade or melt all of your equipment. So you can filter, you can tailor all the settings in this game depending on how much you want to be AFKing as opposed to actively playing the game. I've been playing mostly passively for years. I've turned off the animations so that the game goes a little bit faster. To start, I would recommend that you have animations on. So you come to settings and you can choose what pieces of equipment are actually shown. You can choose how you interact with other people, how you interact with various elements of each dungeon. You can choose how you interact with options to capture familiars. So you can tailor the game to your preferences. But I think I'm going to leave it here, and I am going to jump into the next section, which is going to assume that you have some knowledge in the game and are going to play out of the initial stages. And I am going to move on now. This is the part of the video where I'm going to discuss my recommendations for progression from the game from T1 to T20 to do it as efficiently and as effectively as possible. First, you have the option to either be free to play or pay to play. Pay to play will save you a lot of time, but you can still reach endgame content as a free to play. It's just going to take significantly longer. There is enough time between each time a new tier comes out for you to make progression to catch up to the latest tier. So with that out of the way, and this is the most important thing, your first priority at all times is to tier up. Every time you tier up, right away, the equipment that you get has higher total stats. It allows you more options. You're able to do better world bosses, and it will get you to the next tier quicker. And your first goal, your first primary goal, is to get to T17. Once you get to T17, you are already in endgame content and you are ready to start building on the current meta. So how do you tier up? You're going to start at tier 1. First, just upgrade any equipment that you have, and that will be enough to let you tier up. And then very quickly, you're going to be starting to worry about familiars. But before I get into familiars, the progression for equipment is you're going to upgrade whatever you have until that is no longer suitable to beat the final quest zones. Then you're going to start upgrading epic gear. And then once you've fully upgraded epic gear and it starts to become difficult to tier up, then you start upgrading the legendary gear from the raid. And once that starts to become difficult, then you start upgrading the set gear. And once that gets difficult, then you start upgrading the mythic gear as well. I got to tier 11 before I upgraded a single set. And you want to upgrade the gears. Legendary gives you as much total stats as you can possibly get. And the more total stats you have, the better your familiars are, because your familiars have a certain percentage of your total stats depending on whether they're mythic, legendary, epic, or continuing on to uncommon. But once you upgrade to the next tier, you're going to keep using the same equipment that you used to up tier, but you are going to replace it with the next tier equipment. And I would recommend getting the equipment from the raids. This is the #1 go-to. You can come to the shop, and during the midweek, 4 gems, you can exchange them for shard baskets. And so you get 20 shards. Sometimes they are at more of a discount than others. The lowest I've ever seen them was 350 gems for a shard basket. And then using that shard basket, you get like 200 gems back. And then you just save up your gems, spend them on the shard baskets until you have a Bitgore. And when you have a Bitgore, you have 24 hours of 500% item find speed boost experience. And if you have about 15 or so raid shards, you can up tier even at the higher tier levels, whereas at the lower tier levels, that would be enough to up tier you potentially several times. Another important aspect is you want to join a guild as soon as possible, because when you join a guild, every 10 experience points you get, you receive 1 guild shop point. And you want to be spending all of your guild shop points on these zeal pouches. You need about 5 million guild points or so to be able to get enough zeals to fight enough world bosses to get all the fusion materials needed for 1 mythical familiar. And mythical familiars will last you for the end game. There are some that are better than others. It's situation specific, but you will always be able to find a situation for them. So start saving up the zeals from the start. Start just upgrading your equipment, and then continuing that cycle until you get this T17. Once you get to T17, you're going to want to go to Trials or Gauntlets, and you're going to want to come down to T17, and you may have to upgrade full T17 Legendary for usable equipment first in order to actually win this level difficulty of the Trials or Gauntlets. But what you want is you want the Witch'em. when you have a full Witchem set with, which is what I'm wearing now, with, well, I actually have a deflect set. So you, with evasion runes and evasion, and the only reason I have deflect is because my accessory has evasion. So you can add enchants, evasion enchants, add evasion runes, and you get 75% evasion. And 75% evasion is the highest evasion you can get before it stops counting. It's similar to the block, 75% block, 75% evasion. A lot of the game mechanics cap out at 75%. The Clover is probably the most overpowered item in the game because it rolls your luck counter twice, turning a 75% chance of something occurring into over 90+% chance of it occurring. So with a Clover and 75% evade, you're looking at 90+% evasion. It can be undercut by accuracy. That is a mechanic that monsters hold, but for the most part, you can start soloing some of the difficult heroic world bosses that you couldn't before, and you can and you just keep up tiering Witchem to T20, and that will allow you to do anything in the game at that point. Now for familiars, the ones you choose don't matter so much coming out of the gate. So these are my familiars. I would recommend starting with Borland, starting with Shramps. They are easy to make right off the gate, tier 2, tier 3, and you have a tank and a healer that are going to last you until you have better fusion, legendary fusion familiars. And to start, it doesn't really matter which legendary fusion familiars you choose. Just choose a healer, a tank, and a DPS. So I had Korgs as my first DPS. I had Wembo as my first healer, and I have Bobodom as my first tank. I got all the way to T17 with these familiars. If I were to do it again, my biggest regret is at T10, you get access to the world bosses, which allow you to get Melborg and which allow you to get Glarsdos. And these two familiars, you should always stable them to +5 before you use them, because then when you attach augments to them, you get the most out of it, and they will become a lot more effective. It's better to have a +5 stabled lower tier familiar than using a higher tier familiar that's not +5 stabled. And so Glarsdos and Melborg, if you have those two, you can get to tier 17 relatively easy, just getting the raids, equipment, maxing them out, and then moving on. I included on here Penguita. Some people like to use him instead of Melborg. I like Melborg because it has a team clearing function, whereas Penguita has a higher individual damage on a single enemy. But instead of using Penguita, I used Trombargs until I started getting into the mythical familiars. I've also shown Teal'Cure. He is a good healer / tank. He's a healer, but he can take a hit. He is used to create Glarsdos, and you can stable him 5 times, and he might be the healer that you want to use until you're actually able to get Glarsdos, because this guy might be better at getting you to survive through the zones than your legendary healer from a lower tier, such as Wembo. Wembo I like because he has a 300% critical damage, so you can get lucky and kill some bosses in a hit if you get a critical. but he's a glass cannon. If he gets hit, he's going to die. But he can critical the heals and heal your whole team. So there's benefits to that. I don't use Wembo or Korgs anymore. I still used Bobodom until I got T12. This is my mythical tank, and then I have Lurky, which is my mythical DPS, and then my mythical healer. I'll get into that later for my sets, but what you want to do, get any DPS, tank, and healer legendary fusion familiar, and keep them until you're able to get Melborg and Glarsdos from the T10 world bosses. One thing to understand with the world bosses is item find is very important for finding the schematics of the fusion, but the fusion materials drop at a set rate. It's about 1 in 20, which is why to get a single mythical familiar from the world boss, you need a little over 5 million guild points. Every 50 of these packages that you buy get you 250 world boss attempts. And once you have Witcham, you'll easily be able to solo any world boss type. You might have difficulty with Nordic Dream before you get Clover. So then now you get to tier 17, you get your Witcham. The next thing you want to do is use the Witcham as well as Melborg, and you can do this with Melborg and Glarsdos without having any mythic familiars. You can get the Soul of Escarum. This one really increases your damage output by attacking the furthest enemy in the team. And then if you get your Witcham with the Soul of Escarum to tier 20 and you max it out, you can then get 64-bit Clover without having any mythic familiars. I got this at tier 19 using T12 just to keep myself surviving longer. But you can do it with legendary familiars as long as you get to T20 first. By the time you get to T20, there might be T21 that came out, and if T21 comes out, you're going to get more total stats, more total stats, which is just going to make this easier to get over time. For myself, I have Starweave. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It's too material heavy. Every time you up tier an ancient, it costs 3,500 materials. So you need 3,500 materials for every tier that you're going up, all the way to tier 20 for each ancient. And what it does is it allows me to use one less set piece to get the full bonus, but it also gives me, the only benefit I have on this set is 5 damage bonus and 5% damage reduction. It was originally created so that you could mix and match tiers, but I get the 5% bonus out of it, so it gives me a little bit of advantage over somebody who doesn't have it. When it comes to accessories, every time, and I should have brought this up earlier, so I might highlight this part, but accessories, you want to tailor it for the set. You can get away with just using epic accessories all the way until T17. And then the number one accessory that you can have, I am going to go to my forge, and I'll show you the one that I am hoping to get that I don't have. The number one accessory is this one. Critical chance and critical damage. You can put on Empower, which doubles the damage you do. You could put on Dual Strike. Typically, Empower is better than Dual Strike because when you attack twice, there's twice the chance to proc your enemy's skills against you. But you can critical and Empower. You can critical Double Strike. So this one here is, and then when you have Clover, it makes it all the better. Plus, there's overkill projectile damage that ricochets. When it comes to the pets, A pet, a defensive pet will help you tier up better than an offensive pet. And you might as well try to get an offensive legendary pet and an offensive and a defensive legendary pet. You can save gems that you don't use on the shard packages on getting your pet, and you are going to melt them anyways to get your first mythical pet. A mythical pet, defensive pet, will help you survive a little bit more in some of the zones, but after T20, you're going to be able to survive anyways, and it's really the offensive pet that with Clover makes you a lot more effective in the end game. So if I want to clear out any battle, I will typically use this set where I actually have a legendary accessory, which is block chance, and my mythical offensive pet, which attacks the enemy team for 50% every time I get hit. And when I redirect the attacks to me, I'm almost always getting hit, and I'm almost always attacking for additional damage, and it can clear out an enemy team really quickly. And then once you have the full Witcham set with Clover and Soul of Escarum at level T20, then the endgame content becomes all about farming ancient equipment. So I have another set here. There are other ancient equipments that you can get, which can make you more of a damage dealer, can make you more of a support, but the endgame content starts off, the meta starts off with Witcham, and then from then you go to some of these rather OP sets that are based entirely off of exploiting ancient equipment. If you with Firm Helm, you can make a really strong combustion set, but for now, to get the T20 with Witcham, and then worry about everything else from that. And so now I'm going to just take you through some of the progression, right? So let's say you get to here before you need to use your, which tier is this? Yeah, so this is tier 10. You could probably get to tier 10 before you need your first set build. And so if you look at this set, it has 2% deflect chance and automatically prevents your first death and 25% damage reduction. So if you're going to use this set, what you're going to want to do as well for the enchants, you're just going to want to build a collection of legendary enchants of various types. Damage reduction is always beneficial, and that set I would use damage reduction. What you want to do with these sets is you want to maximize you want to maximize whatever mechanics that set is taking advantage. This one, there's deflect, but 2% deflect is nothing. This isn't the best set. You could probably get away with just using legendary, but if you are going to use a set, you could use it as you can play around with your stats as well, right? So you have your attack, hit points, and speed. Depending on what familiars you have, you can play around with those three stats. They are less important than the mechanics later on. You just want to make sure that you have enough health so that you're not dying right away. So that's this set. Then the next set, you come in and quad strike, 5% chance to ignore enemy defenses, and then plus 40% damage, right? So for this set, you might want to have an accessory, epic accessory, as well as enchants and runes that are damage based. You can have empower, and then before I go any further, I forgot to mention the mounts. you will never go wrong with a Mythic Empower mount. It's going to take you a long time to get your first Mythic mount. The legendary mounts, which you can craft relatively soon, it's going to take you a while to upgrade them. But with the mounts, getting a mythical mount is important. But by the time you get to around T17, and by the time you need it, you'll be able to make one. I was not paying attention. I scrolled right past it. And so you can see which mythical mounts you can get. You can get one of 3. And I would stick with one that has a good special. And this is the one that I preferred as the legendary mount. But if you're going to choose your first mount, I would choose Empower. And then moving on, the next set. This is a defensive set. And you might want to add on blocking mechanic. Blocking runes, blocking accessories, blocking and blocking enchants. Then the next one, add some empowers. 15% dual strike, gain 30% earth damage to enemies. Okay, so this one, add more empower, add more dual strike. You would get more out of adding a dual strike, because the higher, like, rather than having 15%, if you can get that to 30%, that's going to make a big difference, as opposed to turning 4% empower into 10% empower. It's not going to make as big of a difference. You're going to want to increase the bigger stat. That'll make more of an effect. I haven't been looking at the mythics. The mythics are important too. So yeah, for this set, dual strike. It won't be difficult to up tier with them with the strategies I've already said. So this is another blocking set. You can reuse the same enchants, same runes. When it comes to runes, it's not hard. So I'll show you for my runes. It's not hard to get a legendary of every type. You'll get it naturally as you just have the materials to craft them. And so it gives you some options. You don't need to use mythics. You're going to have very limited amount of options for creating mythics, because mythic runes take a lot of materials that take a long time to collect. And then the next set, I believe, is an evasion set. So this set is one that, the first one where you actually would benefit from redirect. So if you look, it says plus 50% evade if you were shielded, plus 2.5% evade for each redirect, right? So if you get 25% redirect, you're getting another additional 10% evade, and you can end up with 50+% evade with this set, which will easily allow you to up tier, as long as you're using the set right. Redirecting would be on this rune. I have the mythical one, which is 35%. And then continuing on, we're already at 15. So next one, T16. 25% chance to deflect. This is more of a random set, where if you keep attempting it until you if you keep attempting to complete the zones, you can get lucky with some deflects and make it through. But once again, as long as you upgrade the sets and the mythics, you will be able to move on with a DPS, healer, and tank fusion familiar. Although at this point, if you have Glars and Melborg, it's going to be easy. You're not going to have any trouble whatsoever. And then the next one is the T17, which you're not going to be really worrying about too much, because at this point you've got Witcham and you are set. I'm just going to take a minute to think before I close this off. But once again, join a guild as fast as you can. Use your guild points. If you are going to leave the guild, use all of the guild points before you leave. If you leave and then rejoin, the guild points will still be there waiting for you. But if you leave, you're going to lose whatever guild points are left there. And then as for progression for familiars, once you have Glarsdos and you have Melborg, and I'd recommend getting 8 of them, 5 to stable, 3 to use. That would be enough to last you while you slowly farm for your mythics. And there are 2 types of mythics. I'm going to get more into this when it comes to multitasking, but for the progression, your endgame content, you're going to want a healer, a tank, and a DPS mythic fusion familiar. And you're going to have to start farming those as soon as you can. And there are mythic familiars that are primarily gotten through raids, and there's mythic familiars that are primarily gotten through world bosses. And while you are leveling up and while you're tiering up, you can use your quest energy to collect whatever familiars you need for your mythic fusions. Plan it out in advance, which ones you want, and start farming early. Every time you level up, your energy restores itself to full. So before you level up, always make sure that you use all of your energy. And I will decline this. I will always use a build that uses extra experience when when using my energy, because you can get like 1/6 or 1/5 of all of your total experience just from burning your energy every time you get it. So if I'm farming for something, I'm using all my raids, every time I level, I will burn all my energy, and then I'll use more raid shards until I level again, burn all my energy. I'll always take the time to go through that, because you're going to need a lot of familiars to use in the fusions, as well as every little bit of energy that you get will decrease the time it takes you to get those mythic familiars. And then one final thing, in the raids, it is you will need other people. So you play with people that are in your friends list or people that are in your guild list. All you really need is one person that has Clover and Witcham, like myself. And this pet makes this guy a beast. This is the pet that I'm currently saving up for. This guy here could solo all the way up to T17 or so, tier 17. So if you get one person that's max T20 with Witcham and a Clover, which is this ancient equipment right here, that person can carry you all the way to endgame content. And for myself, if I'm going to add anybody as a friend, it's likely going to be somebody that I talk to in the chat. A lot of the higher level players know each other, but if we're talking to you in the chat and it looks like you're going to be staying for a while, there will be somebody who's going to add you as a friend and help you get carried. So from there, I am going to close this section. So before I showcase my character, I'm going to put together a summary for what you should be doing for multitasking, as well as a summary for progression, as I had just previously rambled a little bit. So when it comes to multitasking, you should be collecting fusion familiars from the zone. You should be collecting fusion materials from the world from the world bosses. It takes about 3 months per mythical fusion if you're only using the daily regeneration. Plan ahead for both. You should be tiering up using the raids, and you should be considering using your gems to capture raid familiars that are required for mythic familiars. You should consider this once you have got Witch'em. You want to collect your guild shop points to use them on Zeals. It takes about 5 million points per mythic fusion. You want to participate in all events, and you want to collect crafting materials. It's going to take time to get the crafting materials you need for the best runes, for the best mounts, for the best accessories, and so on and so forth. You're going to want to save gems for the legendary offensive or defensive accessory. You're going to be later melting them both for a mythical accessory anyways. The same goes for the pet. The legendary defensive pet is going to help you tier up better. The endgame mythical pet that's going to give you more benefits is an offensive one. You want to use your gems in the shop to buy discounted raid shard boxes. Those will be used for leveling up your equipment to tier up. And you will make a decent amount of gems back just by using them with a Bitgore. When you're using the Bitgores, you should use them on the weekends to take advantage of the daily boost. Every day has a different daily boost. Saturday and Sunday has the best item find boost, but Saturday also has capture rate boost and experience boost, which is overall better than the little bit extra item find boost that you get on Sundays. You want to save your mount guts for your legendary mount. The mount doesn't matter. Choose it off the skill option that you prefer. I prefer the skill option that lets you kill a strong enemy in one hit, because sometimes that might be the difference between finishing a zone and not finishing a zone. You can't go wrong with the Empower mount. That's not the mount that I originally chose. I chose the mount that attacks the weakest enemy, but that mount is obsolete for me in the endgame now. And then finally, you want to keep an eye on the shop for discounted items. And occasionally, there are giveaways. If there was the server was down or something like that, you get reimbursed, but you have to buy it from the shop. So you might be able to get a Bitgore for 1 gold. So just keep your eye on the shop for those bonuses, as well as you might be able to get 1,000 mount guts for 500 gems, or 1,000 of the accessory materials for 500 gems. Those are always worth it. It's just gems are a limited resource. When it comes to the legendary accessories and legendary pets, you have a 25% chance of getting them. And when they go on sale, they are typically around 5,000 gold. They can be less, but that is only on special occasions around holidays, special events, or whenever a new tier comes out. So you'll want to keep your eye on the shop for the bonus that's going to be best for you. All right, that's my summary, and I will move on to the final part of this video now. To cap off the video, here is a summary of my character. I started playing in 2019. Sometimes I've been playing more actively than others. My in-game time has been greatly exaggerated, as I have often left the game on and forgotten about it. Coming back after a movie, or even after going to bed, waking up and realizing the game is still on. They have since changed the game mechanics so that now if you're offline for or inactive for a certain amount of time, it logs you out, but it never used to do that in the past. So this is my character. This is my forge. I have my stats, which are this is my most commonly used set, Witcham. I have block, which makes me take 50% damage most of the time, as well as my offensive pet. If I go to my info, I got my level, my experience, my time played, my power, my total stats. I have 74.5% evade. It caps out at 75, and with the clover, that is well over 90, if not 95%. Then I have my block chance, which is almost 70. 70% is about 90% with clover. And I have some empower, item find, and then here are my wins and losses: player versus enemy, player versus player, guild versus guild. I've got some duels in there, my dungeon completed, healing and damage, just my generic stats. For my runes, I have legendary runes of every type. I have myth evade runes. I have enough materials to make another set of runes, but I haven't decided what I want that to be because I don't have the materials to make everything I want. I want to upgrade both of these two runes. I have my redirect rune as well as a SP regeneration rune. I want to get another SP regeneration rune that increases regeneration when you're hit. As for enchants, I have mythic enchants for evade. So 6 evade myth enchants. I have 6 damage reduction myth enchants, 6 deflect enchants. I've got 3 empower enchants, and I will be making 6 speed enchants soon. When it comes to my consumables, I don't have very much left. I've used them all recently on T20, which just came out. When it comes to my familiars, I have 8 Titus as my tank. I have 8 Thunwolf as my healer. This guy is essentially just a better version of Glarsdos. And I have Lurky for my DPS. I just got my 6th one, so I'm finally able to make it. For the only perfect familiar I have is my tank. So if you look here, I have my augments. They're redirect, attack a random enemy when they get hit, damage reduction when all my teammates are alive. This is better for a tank. Damage reduction when you're below a certain percent health is better for a healer tank. And then I have 15% evade, 15% evade, 15% evade. I am almost saved up on enough materials to get another perfect mythical familiar. I just haven't decided which one yet. I'll probably invest in 3 damage reductions because those can be switched between familiars. This is my forge. The Santa Claus outfits are my Witcham builds that have item find. I want to have my experience up and my capture rate up as different cosmetics. That way, if I forget to switch off, I realize really quick because I actually look differently, and you can see that right away. So the bunny is my experience boost, and the fisherman is my capture rate. I have all of the rarest fishing collectibles. That took a long time to get. And then I have some other builds here. Currently, there are 2 builds I'm working on. I will show you my armory. I have my Witcham set, which is a tank slash bait, but it's this is my deflect. I'm able to use deflect because I have an evasion accessory. This is the first myth pet I ever got. It's not that great for a tank because you can't heal yourself. So your shield maxes out, but your health stays low, and eventually you'll get whittled down. This is my most effective set, the 68% block. It more than halves the damage I take. Plus I have my offensive pet that can tear through the enemy team. I have Starweave, which gives me that 5% damage bonus, damage reduction that all ancients do with Clover and Soul of Escarum. This is all maxed at T20. Then I have my support set, which is also maxed at T20. I have this for Sky Ent. I made this set specifically for Guild versus Guild to help out my guild and give us a little bit of an edge that we otherwise wouldn't. Then I have a Speed Demon set that I'm working on. All I need to do to max out this set is bring the Primordial Codex from tier 19 to tier 20 and 3,500 T20 materials. This set will be complete. The only thing that isn't complete is the mount. I have not got enough mount guts to fully upgrade this mount. But you see I have speed attack combo mount that is a dual strike. That's the first one I got. The Empower is the more meta endgame mount, whereas I had options to go for a defensive mount next, but instead I decided to build another set using speed. And once this is done, this will have over 60,000 speed. I could have gone for more speed, but I wanted to trade off for survivability as well as have a little bit of attack. And this is an enraged set, so I have my enraged pet, which I had randomly rolled. For an offensive pet, I just wanted anything but this rage pet, and I got 2 of them, so I decided to make use of it. Then I have my extra EXP set, riding a skateboard. My capture rate set, he's riding his fishing boat. I can come around. This is what the fishing boat looks like if you ever want to spend the fishing consumables to buy them. Then I have an extort build that I'm putting together. This one is maxed at T18. I just need T19 and T20 materials to build it. This set isn't complete as well because I need the T19 or the T19 Ancient, the one that you find from the zone. I haven't been able to unlock it yet. If I want to unlock it, I have to build a specialty set just for it. There's a combustion set that works really well, but I don't have the materials to upgrade the firm helmet to tier 20. So I will likely wait until tier 21 to unlock it easily and then finish that build. But back to that extort build. What it does is the mechanic allows you to unload all your attacks on an enemy. And I'll see if it explains it. Yeah, so when you enter the battle, damage the strongest enemy for this amount and gain shields equal to that amount. So you can unload on an enemy before they attack, and you can kill the strongest enemies even before they have a chance to attack you. It has quite a bit of use, and if you get a full team of extorts, you can rip through some raids that you otherwise couldn't. I have to upgrade my Shield of Escarum and my Evolvium, which are both T18, so 2 tier ups for each of those, plus I have to get the T19 Ancient and then up tier it once, and then this set will be complete. When it comes to how much materials I have, like for my future goals, what I want is the Fobet. This thing adds critical to empower, will make me much more combat effective. And then I also want, for the pet, once I get 15 collars, I will be getting, see if I can find the pet I want. This is the guy I want. Spread shield and spread heal. This can keep you alive forever against entire teams sometime. So this is, in my opinion, the best defensive pet. And if you're going to have a defensive pet, this is the one that you can have. This one here has some use as well. Heal lowest health teammate and shield self for basically the same amount as this one, except the spread shield sort of fills in the lowest gaps of your team. Whereas if you're the only team member alive, both of these pets do exactly the same thing. And then for my augments, I can afford to get quite a bit more mythic augments. I just haven't decided yet. That's something I'm going to be working on. For my familiars, Tithus as the tank, Thunmolf as the healer, Lurky as the DPS. I've already brought this up, but I'm currently working on Frestir as a pure healer. Frestir is a mythic fusion that you get primarily from raids. And then at the same time, after I'm done finalizing my Lurky, I'm going to get Ignatus Raw, which gives 5% damage to the whole team. And I will make several of those. And after that, I will be I will have all of the mythic familiars that I want. When it comes to the enchants, I've already said which ones I have, but let's go make the speed enchants while I'm here. So damage, still in damage. You can choose any mythic enchant you like, and you should always choose, never random roll the enchants. I'm still looking for speed down here. Dual strike, dual strike, dual strike, empower, evade, health, speed. So this is the one I want to make. I want to make 6 of these. So I can make 6 of these, and then I will only ever need 1,000 or 3,000 more epic materials, and I'll make 3 more empower mythic enchants, and then I will be done. So if I'm going to craft speed, I'm going to craft all 6. Craft. There we go. And then when you come to your enchants, I will identify, and there you go. And then the final aspect of my character is the guild that I'm in. I am in a top 100 guild that I have been a part of since I was around level 100. So my guild, my contribution, I am the most ever since Exarch has taken a break. But I've gotten to know most of the people in this guild, made some friends. Currently I have 1.26 million. Normally I wait until I have 5 million at a time before I purchase them, but let's just go ahead and buy some zeals. You can never go wrong with spending your guild points on the zeals. When it comes to fishing, I don't have very many points left over because I have bought all the fishing gear as well as getting the mythical bobber and the mythical fishing rod. So that is a showcase of my character. Thanks for watching my video. If you've made it this far, if you've just gone to the timestamps, that's fine as well. This is my my guide to Bit Heroes. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.